Welcome to the Kincardine Bulldogs Podcast, sponsored by Kincardine Home Hardware. This is where we talk about past and future events for the Kincardine Bulldogs. Now, here's your hosts, Chuck Basti and Stevie Dunn. Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Kincardine Bulldogs Podcast. This is where we talk everything Bulldogs. I'm alongside my co-host, Chuck Basti. Hey, Chuck, how's it going today?
Good, Steve. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. It was an up and down season this year for the Bulldogs. Ended up finishing, I believe, fifth. Is that right? Fifth in the North Pollock?
Yeah, fifth in the Pollock division, and we managed to exactly hit 500, which was like we had bets at the beginning of the year if we could do that, so we nailed that one.
Yeah, the 18-18 5-1 record on the season for 42 points. What were some of the things that helped them stay at 500?
That's a great question, and I'm almost wondering right now. At the start of the year, I think that our record that we have right now wasn't indicative of the team that we have currently. So I think we were second in scoring in the Pollock division, next only to the first place Mount Forest Patriots. So we had a ton of scoring. We had Harrison Muhlenstein, who was a rookie. He came in after APing for us last year and just lit up the league. Had a fantastic season, finished with 28 snipes. And we had the leadership of Stevie Grant, our captain, returning. He's our OA. Carter Survey stepped up this year and had another monstrous year for us as well. Liam Calhoun. And the list just keeps going on and on with, our scoring and our depth that we had. I think it came down to the small things that we just didn't finish. And in hockey, this is indicative of success.
Right.
If you're not great on the power play or you're not good on the penalty kill, if you take undisciplined penalties, and we were subjected to all of those during the regular season. But the good news is we now start playoffs now, and we're now going to be starting into a new groove. And as we all know, anything can happen in playoffs.
Now, you just mentioned the playoffs. You guys are obviously finished fifth, as mentioned before, and you guys will face off against the fourth place Wingham Ironmen. You guys had a bit of a tough time with Wingham this season with a 2-5 record. What's the key to trying to change this narrative in this series?
Yeah, and the team down the road, as we like to call them, they play us hard every single time, and they've got this guy named Garrett Golly, their goalie. He had 9 shutouts this year. He had a fantastic season for the Ironmen, and I think he had 4 of those shutouts against us Bulldogs. And we need to solve Garrett Golly. It's the first thing that we need to do. Kyle Stanbury had another fantastic season for them as well. He did yeoman service, being the number 1 scorer on that team as well. Their fans come out every single game in that rink when we play them. And it's a real big rivalry for us. The team down the road is our number 1 rival in the Pollock division as well. And there's a lot of history behind that. So we need to fill the net. We had 1 game against the Ironmen this year where we had success where I think we won 7-2. But we need much more of that in scoring in droves to really move the needle against the Ironmen.
Now, you have 2 goalies this season that pretty much split the net, 22 starts for Christian DeJong and 23 starts for Carter Garvey. Is there any consensus on who's going to get the net in game 1?
Yeah, and that's another great question too. So I think that's going to be a game time decision for our coach, Todd Norman. Christian DeJong had a fantastic rookie season for us. We would have thought Christian would have had between 10 and 15 games this year. So he overachieved on the amount of games that we gave him. Unfortunately, Carter Garvey had a bit of an injury at the end of the season with his groin, and he tweaked it a little bit. We gave him a little bit more extra time just to heal that off because ideally we want him ready for playoffs. So it'll be a game decision who we're going to start in goal between Carter Garvey or Christian DeJong. But we like both of these kids. They've done great service for us as well this year. They've put up with a lot of floating blue lines at the very beginning of the season before we got our core 6 in place as well. And, their attitudes have been great. And we're looking to see right now how we're able to take the momentum that we've had in the back part of the season and then really exponentially multiply it for playoffs.
Now, you mentioned before that you guys end up finishing second in goals for with 156. Harrison Molstein ended up leading the team with 28. Is there anything systematically that really helped them with their offense, or is it just some star players having a hot hand throughout the season?
Yeah, and I mean, we were up and down like a yo-yo at some games where we got shut out a lot by Wingham, or we filled the net, versus Wingham again. So depending on, like I have this saying this whole year long, we can compete with anybody in the Pollock division as long as we don't hate the first period.
Yeah.
Typically, if we come out strong in that first period, we play our system, we get shots to the nets, we're able to get our top two lines rolling. We will, score our goals in droves. If we take undisciplined penalties and then we don't play our game, and the puck ends up back in our net, we end up playing catch up. And as we all know, that no great teams are able to sustain that against other great teams as well. So we have to play very disciplined hockey, and then keep our guys in their roles and then keep them patient. There's a flow to hockey, as we know, at successful levels. One of the things we had is we had Harrison Muhlenstein come back and play on the point during the power plays, and he really quarterbacks that power play in the first line, and that gave him a lot more confidence as well when he started sniping away and filling the net. And he had one weekend it was December or November that he had a 10-point weekend. He had 5 points against the Mount Forest Patriots in a loss. And then he had 5 points against Goderich the next night as well for 10 points, and he still didn't get player of the game.
Unbelievable. Now, just looking at your previous 6 games, you guys were in 5 one-goal games, and it seemed like no matter who you were playing, you guys kind of just hung in there every game. What was the key to staying with maybe the teams maybe a little bit better or who were a little bit hotter? What was the key to staying in those games?
I think it was just more adapting because we got into injury trouble in the last month of the year, where a lot of our regulars sat out with injuries, and there's a lot of them. And our APs came up. Ethan Smith came and played fantastically. We had a lot of younger kids that came in with they first get their chance to play with the big club, and their energy is contagious. And they come in and they just light it up, and they have fun. They make it easy for everybody else. All the veterans in the room get to see their excitement coming up and playing as well, and then they score, and then you get to feed off that energy. So I think we were able to capitalize on that energy from the young kids coming in, the APs, and then wait for our veterans to come back when we're healthy. But yeah, we come up on the losing side of those games, and those hurt. I mean, that's almost like a gut punch when you lose a game against a team that you can compete against by a goal, and you got to come back and you got to lick your wounds and come back and realize you're not quite healthy yet, and then just keep building so that way that's how winning is done.
We talked about this a little bit off before the show, and I wanted to take a look at your shirt that you got on there. I believe it's from the show Shoresy. It was one of my favorite shows currently, the Blueberry Bulldogs, Sudbury Blueberry Bulldogs. That's one of my favorite shows as of recently, and from what I understand, they're getting ready to record. Where'd you end up getting that shirt?
Yeah, it's a little known fact that Jared Kizo, the creator of Letterkenny Problems and Shoresy, was once upon a time a Kincardine Bulldog. He played a full season for the Bulldogs, and now he now plays for the Sudbury Bulldogs in the No Show. But we reached out to Jared this year, and he was just fantastic. He sent us a big box, and I mean a box that I don't know who packed it, but you couldn't get anything more in this box. It was littered with he sent us, I don't know if you can see, there's the Bulldogs hat there and a Bulldog toque as well. Shirts, sweaters, cups, mugs, just a whole lot of fun Shoresy swag. And our fans love this. I mean, at our home games, they just love seeing Shoresy swag. And Jared and I had spoken on the phone a few times, and he was just really supportive of the Kincardine Bulldogs. Let me know what we can do for you guys. He sent us that box as well. And they are starting season 2 up in Sudbury, and they're going to start taping in the middle of March as well. So be sure everyone to catch your second season of Shoresy.
Now, from what I understand, Kiso uh, idea behind the Shorzy show is kind of bringing to life everything he wished he could say or do as a hockey player, but he couldn't necessarily do it because that get suspended, you break the rules or something. But it's really funny and really cool to see some of the things you wish you could do come to life.
Yeah, and you know what? Our general manager Warren Beisel goes back with the Bulldogs from day one, and he remembers Jared fondly. Our assistant coach Brett Cato, his brother played with Jared on that team as well, and they all say the same thing about Jared. He was the exact same person back then. He was a grinding, bottom six forward as well, hardest working guy in the team, really glue guy in the dressing room. All the cliches that you see him there. And even on the phone, I was able to ask him a lot of questions about, hey, man, listen, like, where do you come up with your content? Do you lay awake at night thinking about this stuff? Do you write it down, beside the table at nighttime when you get a good idea coming down? How do you come up with your chirps? Do you keep a chirp-friendly environment inside the set? Do you always roll with writing and create this yourself? But he was just, like everything that he wanted to say as a junior kid and did say, or in movies, and just and he's a very talented actor. I mean, I don't know if everybody can see, because he creates this character of himself in a composite, and from that point there, he has to play that role, but that's obviously a scripted role, as are all of his characters that he creates as well and does all the writing. And he really puts himself back into that one role. So, he can kind of like be creative, but keep himself into a certain role, which is amazing writing. It's amazing talent.
Now, obviously, you're not in the background of a restaurant. What is that behind you?
Oh, that's the Holy Chuck. He's our title sponsor for my other podcast, Chuck's World of Infinite Mojo.
Right.
And it's the sickest burger you will find in Toronto. He's got 3 locations. One of them is at Yorkdale as well. But yeah, the Holy Chuck burger is an experience in itself. And I don't think he's going to be coming to Kincardine anytime soon. But if you're in the city and you want to get the meat sweats, that's a sick burger to throw down.
I received some photos from the photographer for the Bulldogs, and a few of them had you looked like you were commentating. Was that on the radio?
Yeah, we were doing the play-by-play for Rogers TV, and I was doing that with Gord Chapman as well. He's the play-by-play announcer, and I did the color. So yeah, Mike Chenette's been a fantastic photographer for us from McGinney Photography. He's done an amazing job this year with really capturing the moments, getting great content, helping out our fan base with young kids and autographs after the game. It's been a wonderful experience to have it. These are great shots that he has as well. There's our title sponsor, Home Hardware, as well. And then there's Canadian Tire on the other side as well, the pucks. And he gets these things before the beginning of the game. We just roll these on. There's our Kin Social, one of our title sponsors as well. Home Hardware obviously is in the background. That's a great shot that Mike captured and had redone. There's Stevie Grant, our captain. He's in OA this year. This will be his last kick at the can for us. And there's our mayor on the side there, Mayor Craig. And there's Gord Chapman and I doing the play-by-play on Rogers TV.
Now, is that something that will continue in the playoffs?
Yeah, like Rogers will be there every single game for us this is a big rivalry as well. So, the more coverage that we can get, the better off we can be. So, and there's Garrett Golly right there getting down low and trying to stay away from shutting us out. There's Carter Survey on the right-hand side as well. Christian De Jong, like I said, he did great service this year for us. Hit every expectation that we ever had for him as well, and exceeded it. So, good bunch of kids. I love the leadership and kindness, and on this team is amazing. Of course, I say kindness, you bring up Wilson Ship right there. And our tussle with the team down the road as well. Perfect timing to make me like really question.
Perfect time to say
What kind of kindness are you speaking of, Chuck? That's the team down the road. So that's good old time hockey. That's what we want to see. And I say the team down the road as well. I mean, we have a great rivalry with them. We've got great respect for the Wingham Ironmen as well. Corey Hamilton and Wayne Johnson as well with the Ironmen have done a fantastic job, not only with their team, but in their community and their minor hockey associations as well. And we've got great respect for them as well. Every single team that we play against, we have a good rivalry on the ice. And after the game's over, we go upstairs and have beers and chat with them. We're all friends as well. And we realize here, this isn't about hockey. This is about young kids. This is about mentorship and leadership and teaching these kids what success looks like on the ice, so that way they can have it in their own life. And this is the example of how that can be portrayed. So Mike's done a great job with our photography all year long, and we really want to thank him as well.
Now, while we were talking about the photos, you mentioned a couple times about getting the kids involved and like having community events and capturing those moments. Are there any of those community events that are coming up soon that people should know about?
Yeah, I think that we have a very busy off season. We are probably just as busy off season as we do on the ice. And we definitely have more events in the off season than we do during the regular season. There's more time for it. We do the Santa Claus Parade in Kincardine. We do Remembrance Day. We do Pride Weekend as well. That we have a great showing for. We've got a great community of backers for the Pride community, for the LGBTQ. We do a volleyball tournament at the first week of May, which is coming up. When the ice comes out, we put in the sand, and we have a fantastic 3-day weekend of Thursday, Friday, Saturday of community teams coming in to play beach volleyball. We had a 2-year hiatus for that because of COVID, and that we had that back last year, and it was a fantastic event. It's a big fundraiser for us. So if you're able to get your teams out to the volleyball communities here in Kincardine, get your team in as soon as you possibly can, because we're going to run out of space again this year as well. We have a beach dance first weekend of July, and a ball tournament. And obviously, as the summer goes into the preseason as well, we've got some preseason skates as well for tryouts. Obviously, Warren Beisel's always looking to add more talent to the squad. We have 4 OAs this year that are not going to be back next year as well. So we have some holes to fill, and looking to upgrade as well in order to chase that championship.
Chasing that championship is something that still could possibly be a thing this year. The first round schedule has been released last night. There will be 3 games this weekend. Friday, March 10th, Kincardine will be in Wingham at 8 p.m. Saturday, Wingham will be in Kincardine at 7:30. And Sunday, Kincardine will be in Wingham again for 2:30 start. And then the following Tuesday, there will be a 7:30 start in Kincardine. The rest of the series is Friday, Saturday, Sunday if necessary. 8 p.m. start on the Friday, a 7:30 p.m. start on the Saturday, and another 2:30 p.m. start on Sunday. This is going to be a great series.
This is going to be a fantastic series.
Both teams very much dislike each other, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and for obvious reasons on both sides. I wouldn't put anything past a Wingham Ironmen for their contempt for the Kincardine Bulldogs. In fact, I welcome that. That's a really good, healthy rivalry. And I think, that just is better for the sport of hockey when you have healthy rivalries like that. And the most important part is obviously you want to be respectful off the ice. And we have joint sponsors together as well in the Pollock division with all of our teams as well that we want to garner and obviously work on with them, because it's important to keep hockey viable, so that way we can use that hook or that vehicle for kids in mentorship and leadership, garnering the relationships that they make during their junior careers, meeting the people in their communities, being able to help and support our businesses and sponsors in the community, our municipality as well. These are all important things that, junior hockey provides for us. So it's not just really about the hockey. It really is about, what you create with the hockey in the community as well. We're very, very cognitive of that.
I've interviewed a few players for the Metro Hawks, and they all say the same sort of thing when I ask them what's one of their favorite things about playing junior C hockey. It's the community, it's the involvement with everyone, that the support that they get, and it's really that's all what junior C hockey is all about, is that community and that engagement with the community.
Yeah, and more importantly, with that community is your minor hockey association. It's everything
Yeah,
for us. The Kincardine Minor Hockey Association that aspires to be transitioning from Kincardine Canucks into Kincardine Bulldogs is every young kid's dream. And when I was a small kid, my dad would take me down to either the professional arenas in the NHL or in junior hockey, and it was like a really big deal for me as a kid to meet a big kid, who had facial hair, who was out there grinding, who had a slap shot, or who was a goalie at the time. And this is something that I aspired to as a young kid, that made me want to work harder and made me want to be able to create a better work ethic, and then get more practice and get the small wins that we need to do as young people to collect those small wins to become big wins, and then
right,
and that creates confidence. And once you got confidence, then you can create mastery. And so it's really important for us to really work with our Kincardine Minor Hockey Association and our minor hockey affiliates as well, to really garner that, especially up in Kincardine, because we are kind of an outpost on Lake Huron here, from the Kitchener-Waterloos, the Guelphs, the Londons of the world, where they go to school, when they pass get past high school. We need to draw that talent from those areas, and it's hard to get them to come this far out west. So we need to develop better
right.
talent inside.
Right, for sure. And I find for majority of what I've seen is the days that the biggest crowds are the minor hockey days, because that's who really is this is all about, right? This is all about developing the kids and showing them a good experience, teaching them some things that they can take with them, not only in the hockey world but also in the real life.
Yeah, and we were really fortunate this year that we had Hockey Day in Canada up in Owen Sound this year, and I was very fortunate to go up there and meet with Ron McLean and Wendell Clark and Darcy Tucker and Greg Shell from the Leafs as well, in their development programs for minor hockey programs. Cassie Campbell Pasco was there. Bobby Ryan came back. Joey Hisham was there as well. They had a lot of alumni that came back. The Stanley Cup showed up with Phil Pritchard, keeper of the cup. Mike Futa came out as well. And these are all local people that have made successful runs at the NHL or in major junior hockey as well, which we are now feeders to as well. So
Yeah.
creating these experiences for young kids is really paramount in giving them, that direction. Which, and I mean, it's the hardest time in the world to be a kid these days, with social
Yep.
media out there and just coming out of COVID. So giving them viable options that are healthy choices for them to show what hard work is, what work ethic can be like, what happens when you have purpose and dedication, all these things that life after hockey, when they go away from hockey, they can become, wonderful people in business or whatever they study or in their relationships. All these things have success in them in the algorithm, where when you start learning that from a young age, they'll become habits. And once they become habits, they'll serve you your entire life as long as you keep to those things. And that's what we want to be instrumental in developing with these young kids.
Right, and that's really the whole idea about this junior C. Thank you for joining me today, Chuck. It's been a great show. Make sure you guys all come out and support the Kincardine Bulldogs in their quest for the Pollock Division title. Um, Thank you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.